Hello everyone, welcome to Lean in Circle. Today we are going to talk about CIS Top 20 Control Series. And in this series, we are going to start with CIS Top Control 1. So the CIS critical security controls are prescriptive, prioritized set of cybersecurity best practices and defensive actions that can help prevent the most pervasive and dangerous attacks and support compliance in a multi-framework era. These actionable best practices for cyber defense are formulated by a group of IT experts using the information gathered from actual attacks and their effective defenses. The CIS controls provide specific guidance and a clear pathway for organizations to achieve the goals and objectives described by multiple legal, regulatory, and policy frameworks. The CIS control are broken into three categories. The first category is basic controls. These are the essential controls for minimum cyber defense. And foundation controls are known as the next step controls that provide clear security benefits. And when we talk about the third category, organizational control, these are the additional control that cover the people and processes involved in an organization's cybersecurity function. So let's start with today's topic. Let me share my, yes. So today's series is about CIS 1, inventory and control of hardware assets. So first, let me give you a brief introduction about myself. I am Dr. Abhilasha Vyas. I'm working as a senior manager, academic initiative, Cyber Peace Foundation. I have more than 19 years of experience in academia and industry. I'm also a member of Executive Committee, Women in Big Data, India chapter. I also got a chance to work as a co-team member with Women in Tech India chapter. I also heading the cyber cell of Suraj Sansthan NGO. This NGO is working for women and child welfare. It's my pleasure to share that I received award, National Innovative Educator Award in 2020 from International Institute of Organized Research. I also recognized by the 420.in along with Noida-based NGO Route 64 InfoSec Research Foundation as CQ 100 Women as a result of Pan India online survey to acknowledge the efforts of women who have made a difference in the online world and made the digital world safer. My passion is to create e-content for the academic syllabus for leading universities in cybersecurity. And my research area is detection of distributed denial of service attack. So the agenda for today's talk is, first we are going to see the definition, the requirements of this control, the implementation stages, risk associated, the benefits, and then the tools. We will be going to see the commercial tools and free tools also. You cannot protect what you don't know. That's why CIS Control 1 is listed as the very first control to adopt when developing your cybersecurity strategy. This security control is all about identifying devices, documenting your inventory, and keeping the inventory current and up to date. If you want to define it, we can say that this is actively managed. In managing, we are talking about inventory, track, and correct all hardware devices on the network so that only authorized devices are given access and unauthorized and unmanaged devices are found and prevented from gaining access. So this control gives the ability to actively manage all hardware devices on your network, and you can ensure that only authorized devices have access and unauthorized ones are found and prevented from gaining access. This requires being able to inventory, track, and correct assessment permissions. Implementing inventory control is likely the least glamorous part of security program, but it serves as the foundation for many other controls. So it can reduce insider threat and loss risks. clean up the IT environment, and improve the other CIS critical security controls. So let's see the implementation part of this. So if you talk about the implementation, so in addition to the basic foundational and organizational controls, in the latest version of CIS control version 7.1, the controls are prioritized into implementation groups, IGs. Each IG identifies which sub-controls are reasonable for an organization to implement based on their risk profile and their available resources. So organizations are encouraged to self-assess and classify themselves as belonging to one of three IGs, IG1, IG2, and IG3, to prioritize the CIS control for a better cybersecurity posture. Organizations should start by implementing the sub-controls in IG1, followed by IG2 and then IG3. So implementation of IG1 should be considered among the very first thing to be done as part of the cybersecurity program. CIS generally refers IG1 as a cyber hygiene, the essential protections that must be put in place to defend against common attacks. So if you see in this chart, it's clearly mentioned that IG1 will be implemented or will be suitable for the organizations with limited resources where the sensitivity of data is low. Will need to implement the sub controls that typically fall into IG1 category. IG2, the organizations which moderate resources and greater risk exposure for handling more sensitive assets and data, will need to implement the IG2 controls along with IG1. These sub-controls focus on helping security teams manage sensitive client or company information. Implementation Group 3 will be applicable to the mature organizations with significant resources and high risk exposure for handling critical assets and data used to implement the sub-controls under the IG3 category, along with IG1 and IG2. The sub-controls that help reduce the impact of targeted attacks from sophisticated adversaries typically fall into IG3. Let's look at the risk associated with it. Attackers who can be located anywhere in the world are continuously scanning the address space of target organizations, waiting for new and possibly unprotected systems to be attached to the network. They are particularly interested in devices which come and go off the enterprises networks, such as laptops or bring your own devices, which might be out of synchronization with security updates or might already be compromised. So attacks can take advantage of new hardware that is installed on the network one evening but not configured and patched with appropriate security updates until the following day. Even devices that are not visible from the internet can be used by the attacker who have already gained internal access and are hunting for internal pivot points or victims. Additional systems that connect to the enterprise's network, for example, demonstration systems, temporary test systems, guest networks, should also be managed carefully or isolated in order to prevent adversarial access from affecting the security of enterprises and its operations. So large complex enterprises understandably struggle with the challenge of managing intricate, fast challenging environment, but attackers have shown the ability, patience, and willingness to inventory and control our assets at very large scale to support their opportunities. So managed control of all devices also plays a critical role in planning and executing system backup, incident response, and recovery. So what are the benefits associated with it? So utilize an Active Directory tool to identify devices connected to the organization's network and update the hardware asset inventory. It also utilizes a passive discovery tool to identify devices connected to organization's network and update the organization's hardware asset inventory. It also helps us in maintaining an accurate and up-to-date inventory of all technology assets with the potential to store or process information. It also ensures that the hardware asset inventory records the network address, hardware address, machine name, data asset owner, and department for each asset, and whether the hardware asset has been approved to connect to the network. It uses dynamic host configuration protocol, logging on all DHS, the DHCP servers or IP address management tools to update the organization's hardware asset inventory. It also ensures that unauthorized assets are either removed from the network, quarantined, or the inventory is updated in a timely manner. So these are the couple of the benefits. If we talk about the tools, so there are list of the free tools available and there are commercial tools. For academics, the commercial tool are also given for the educational purposes. You can also register to CIS membership also. In that, you have academician licenses and you have a end user licenses. So in the end user licenses for the commercial tool, the costing will be based on the number of employees in the organization. Like if we talk about the membership and user membership with the CIS, that will come around, like if you talk about the more than 250,000 users in the organization, so the costing and the pricing will be around $15,598 per year. So it may vary year to year and number of the users also. So you can go and check. The commercial tools are also available with 1 month trial version also. So please check out for the implementation of this. At the end, I can just summarize it that organizations properly implementing the control have a well documented inventory of all the hardware assets in their environment, like mobile devices, servers, desktops. So this inventory is regularly updated and may feature information on where systems are located and who is supported to be regularly using that system. Organization may also use tools that automatically monitor their network for new and unknown devices and at least categorize them into the inventory appropriate. Better versions of automated tools can take some form of action to control the access this unknown system has in the environment. So this control prevents malicious endpoints from being introduced to your networks and ensures you know more about your network endpoints than an attacker does. So thank you so much for watching this and keep watching for more CIS control videos.